Will everybody please take their seats? The program is about to begin shortly. Will everybody please take their seats? The program is about to begin shortly.
Because they are going to do it on the screen.
Okay.
So I got this.
That's fine. Where are we sitting?
You are over just at that second speaker stable, so you're right.
Okay.
So I got this.
That's fine. Where are we sitting?
You are over just at that second speaker stable, so you're right.
Okay.
So I got this.
That's fine. Where are we sitting?
You are over just at that second speaker stable, so you're right. So I got this.
Yeah, yeah.
And after 3 years and now I'm in the private sector, I can't believe.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Mr. Joe Farr, President of Duke City Commercial and AED Board Chair.
Thank you. If we can get everybody to take your seats and get ready for an afternoon of excitement. Lots of great things happening. Thank you. If we can get everybody to take your seats. I want to welcome you today. While everyone here is special, I'd like to give a shout out to some of our elected officials and dignitaries in the audience. I want to welcome you today. I believe Sandoval County Manager Wayne Johnson is with us. Wayne, shout out to some of our elected officials and dignitaries in the audience. You must be on the road. If I missed anybody, if there's any other dignitaries in the room, just let us know. Raise your hand. You must be on the road. If I missed anybody. All right. These are really interesting times. As a longtime New Mexican who's been in the market for about 35 years, I can truly say that we're at a crossroads. All right. These are in a lot of ways. Between the transition from fossil fuels to the COVID pandemic, to all the lockdowns as a part of that, and the sudden realization that we as a country didn't think hard enough to protect our supply chain and make sure that we're manufacturing enough here in the United States, particularly for things that are critical to this country, along with the subsequent reshoring and green shoring and all of the effects of people starting to rethink that. A lot of things happening that are changing how we do business. Along with the subsequent, and the likely infusion of even more government money coming with infrastructure. A lot of things happening that are changing how it's a lot to really, sink your teeth into. There's a lot happening. And right now puts us at this transitional moment in time that I think we really ought to be taking care of or in considering. There's a lot happening. Right now puts us at this transitional moment in time. So, I'm really excited to see what's going to happen over the next 5 or 10 years. And I'll just kind of put a plug in for the AED strategy that we're working on. And we're not really going to get into that today, but I think that's going to be really exciting. People are going to be really interested in what that has to offer. And news on that will be coming out here in the next couple of weeks. So pay attention to that. With Gary Tonjes retiring after 25 years and Danielle Casey stepping into the role as AED president, yet more transitions. With this crossroads, there's a critical path to advancing this region and being successful. And we're looking to all of you to make that happen. Therefore, I'm excited to remind you about that unveiling that will take place on June 29th. Be there. I think you'll be really interested in the presentation. And we do have, I think, a link to some information about that, maybe not. The 505 Awards will return at the end of this year, and the winners of that will be recognized during AED's inaugural dinner. We've never had this as a dinner before, but we're going to make that a dinner this year. And it will recognize those individuals and organizations that have made exceptional contributions to our economic growth and prosperity in the Albuquerque metro area, with a special thanks due to True Health New Mexico as the premier sponsor. Get your nominations in for those awards by July 23rd, and we hope to see everyone at that end of the year celebration. Next, I'd like to take a moment to recognize new member organizations that have joined AED since we last convened in person. By the way, how excited is everybody to actually sit here in a room, in person? Yeah. I don't know about you, but I was getting pretty sick of this, I call it the zombie apocalypse. But anyway, back to our new members. At the turquoise level, they are Carr, Riggs, and Ingram. Marius Stein is here with us. Holiday Inn and Suites, Anthony Will is with us. Jay Rosengroup, Jory Rosen. New Mexico Rental Car, Cody Enlow. Rio Grande, pronounce that, I guess, Aaron Gessner and Danny Cox. And Mesa del Sol, David Campbell. Yes, please give him a round of applause. I'd also like to give a big shout out and a thank you to Mesa del Sol, who recently increased their involvement with AED to the platinum level. So I know David's here, I saw him earlier. Yep. Thank you, David. At each of our quarterly investor luncheons, we honor long-term investors by recognizing those as AED legacy members. Today, we're going to recognize KRQE for 29 years of membership with AED. Yeah. KRQE has been a part of Albuquerque for almost 70 years. They started as KGGM TV, the CBS station, in 1953, and they're now part of the Nexstar Inc. organization, the largest group of TV stations in the world. Their 4 stations, CBS, Fox, CW, and MyNet, produce and air more than 100 hours of local news every week. An award-winning team of multimedia journalists brings reporting that you can trust to the Albuquerque and state of New Mexico markets. KRQE reaches about 2/3 of the homes in the Albuquerque-Santa Fe area every week. And KRQE.com attracted nearly 2 million viewers last month. Here with us today from KRQE is Bill Anderson. Bill, please stand up and be recognized. Now to get on with the show, and for her first in-person debut at the QIL, and AED President Danielle Casey.
Thank you, Joe. Boy, I'm a little disappointed I didn't have walk-on music. We'll work on that. Just kidding. I am so thrilled to be here, and I will tell you, I've been on the podium many, many times in my life, but I'm a little nervous just because I am so tremendously thrilled to be here with all of you. People keep asking me, how are you liking Albuquerque? And I keep saying, first I kept saying, I really like my house. It's great. You know, I like my house and my neighborhood, but now I feel like I've really just arrived and gotten here, being able to see everyone in person. So just what a trip is all I've got to say. Okay, so by a show of hands, who thought I would be taller? Anybody? You know, what's cool is on Zoom, everybody is the same height. So for the first time in my life, I enjoyed that, and now it's back to being the short girl with the big heels. So anyway, but now you all know how to find me in a crowd, which is by looking down. And I do have to tell you, I had to pinch myself today to be sure it was real that after a little more than 7 months here with AED, I am speaking again at my first in-person signature event. And as Joe said, a big round of applause to all of you for being, you know, brave and ready to get out there and being here with us. And we look forward to getting even more of our AED supporters and members and investors and people in the community out at future programs. I mean, it was just last week that I even got to meet the elusive Gary Tonjes in person. I had a real in-person sighting. I had to get a selfie because of it. And by the way, John Garcia was there too. Gary was so nice. He got us both step stools so we could be in the picture. It was awesome. 2020 was not an easy year for anyone. And whether you were someone who dealt with being personally ill from COVID, or if you unfortunately suffered the loss of a loved one as a result, whether you found yourself out of work due to the pandemic or instantly thrust, as many of us were, into exceptionally long work hours, and or having to do a complete 180 with your business model so that you could actually survive and pivot. But perhaps, and hopefully, I think this has prepared us to come forth stronger and even more agile than ever before, right? And by the way, can I ask the AED team to stand up or wave your hands? These people are incredible. And coming in as a new leader, they're meeting their new leader after having someone here for 25 years over Zoom. And I just got to say, they have just done a tremendous job. And also, a little shout out to your service staff and your hotel staff today for coming back and being here and making these events happen. Very cool. Anyway, so it's AED's goal to help drive the region to become a national model and leader in economic recovery efforts, right? We don't want to trail behind others in the nation. And we've been very fortunate. As AED, we are on track to hit all of our budget estimates and goals at this point in the year in terms of membership support, public partnerships, sponsorships, and new member cultivation. As Joe mentioned, eight new since January. And I do believe this is evidence of our long history in the community as a leading organization. The belief of all in our mission that all of our supporters and investors have. And also, I would like to put a shout out to when COVID was at its most intense, and I can't take credit for this, but just pride, that the whole organization also shifted to a way of helping local firms from everything from, idle loan advice to masks to, again, business guidance and pivoting. So big shout out to that. We are here to not only proactively build the region, but also work significantly in response when things are needed in the business community. So as we rounded the corner to 2021, we pivoted again with an eye on becoming a more efficient organization, right? To launching new technology and tools so we can deliver support faster and communicate better. And in fact, I was just reading a new article. It was a survey of site selectors with Site Selectors Guild. And number 2 out of 5 things that they noticed, and they pointed out that successful EDOs that have embraced technology and started communicating with them in new ways are the ones they're keeping an eye on and that are going to be successful. So shout out to that as well. So by the way, somebody called me the queen of Zoom recently. While I take it as a compliment, it doesn't go with my hair. I'm more of a silver than a gold gal, so we're gonna give that up going forward. Starting in February, we began regular convenings of all of our economic development professionals in the region to share our resources, tools, and updates on our activities. I think this is very important to think about how we're communicating regionally to drive our economy forward and partnering in any way, shape, or form whenever possible. It's important for us to also learn about the challenges and priorities across the region. We have expanded our ambassador training program. Again, my first day to meet all of our ambassadors while they're on the job, and these folks are good. But we're also going to expand our training program with our ambassadors and rebrand it. We're going to call it Economic Development Training, Building a Regional Economy. And we're going to do several programs throughout the year. We're going to give everybody in the community that wants to learn about our work a chance to come and attend these. And then this will also give us a way to have a process for our ambassadors to become certified and even expand their roles even more as experts, insiders, and champions of our efforts. And again, speaking of those ambassadors today, give a quick shout out, stand up, thank you, ambassadors. All right. And also, so thanks to the, thank you all. Thanks to the Albuquerque Forward Fund, some other cool things we've done this year. We launched Size Up. This is a tremendous new tool that provides existing business or aspiring entrepreneurs the big data tools they need to plan or pivot. If you haven't played with that tool, please check it out online. We're already also seeing strong positive trends due to the state's investment in competitive and strategic incentive programs and our collaborative business attraction and expansion efforts. So these are wonderful things that we are promoting to the national site selection community as we speak. The legislative session produced, as you know, a powerful new tool for large-scale projects, adding the opportunity for a rebate of 50% of gross receipts taxes on construction costs over $350 million in 10 years. Sizable investments that are already reaping rewards. So the trends are really clear in the stellar new project activity that we've seen in the first half of 2021. It's we have been busier than all get out. 2020 was an anomaly year, so we're trying to pretend it never happened and tracking our pipeline against 2019. So year to date, our newly open project activity is actually about 9% higher than it was year to date in 2019. And again, our team has been very busy putting together exceptional proposals on behalf of the region. We've announced double the number of projects open in 2021 compared to 19, 8 versus 4. And the 8 new company announcements that we've already made in 2021, they represent 365 direct jobs, but also more than 300 additional induced jobs. And also, a piddly little 435 million of economic impact, no big deal. But this is great because it's something we're actually able to measure and report on due to a launch earlier this year of an in-house economic modeling tool, and it's customized to our region. So anybody wants to know what your impact is, give us a shout, we'll run some numbers. New capital investment from these projects so far in 2021 also exceeds 45 million. 16 million just in payroll and nearly 11 million in direct local impact. These are receipts that we expect to see coming in direct to the community, not induced, and this is in the first 3 years of operation alone. So again, significant investments, and also a big shout out to the fact that many of these are expanding companies doubling down on our community. Recent notable project is Bueno Foods, which was recently approved to receive a $10 million industrial revenue bond to construct a new 25,000 square foot cold storage facility. They're also planning on adding 49 new workers to their current plant. So wonderful, wonderful local success story. We're gonna hear from Affordable Solar. They're continuing to commit to Albuquerque and expanding the original headcount commitment that they proposed earlier this year. And how could I not mention Intel's growth? I know they're watching today, so a nice shout out. And by the way, we're also live streaming this, which is pretty cool. So we are virtual and here in the flesh. We have been really fortunate to work with Intel on their previous expansions, and we're just thrilled to have them as a supporter and a continued partner, and also be able to assist in their growth needs as well. There are so many more things that I don't have time to mention today. So 2 folks that are here today, they're going to talk about their businesses, so I'm going to let them have at it in terms of those comments. But all of this success is dependent upon a commitment to building a strong pipeline of opportunities. The AED team has, as I mentioned, we've been busy. We've delivered proposals for 9 new opportunities in the past 2 weeks. So we've had some late nights and long days, and the team is excited and proud to do it. And we've actually opened 23 new projects just since the beginning of the year. And those in the pipeline, if all of them were to come to fruition, we know that that's not reality in the world. But if they were, that's 8,400 total new jobs that we've had the opportunity to take a stab at, and more than $1 billion in new capital investment. So if it's not clear, we love new projects, right? And assisting firms in expansion, it's kind of our thing. But if you want to keep tabs on our activities and results as they occur throughout the year, please check out our new quarterly reports. We have started to produce these for all of our investors, partners, and our board. And you can go to abq.org, and we have a new publications section of our website where you can download that material. So as many of you have heard me say, it's like my new catchphrase, other than being short, if smiles and sunshine were all we needed to drive the economy forward, then we would be the most successful location in the country, if not the world, and I would be out of a job. Thank you for the job. Driving an economy forward requires a lot more than that. It requires a can-do attitude. It requires tools in the toolkit and constant attention to proactively addressing areas where we lack in competitive advantages. And it means working together with transparency, partnership, and of course, for the greater good. And with that, I want you to consider just a couple of things I was thinking about as I was chewing through what I would say to you all today. Do we really understand our competitive position on a regional scale? And are we ready to work collectively to improve them? Are we adequately resourced? Are we, at all levels, from the state on down to the local level, to compete with other states and markets that are investing and succeeding in diversifying their economies? What industry opportunities are most likely to diversify and catapult our economy forward? And finally, how do we work in partnership with our stellar educational institutions to ensure we're building, attracting, and retaining the workforce of the future? This is a little bit of a teaser because really the start to answering these questions is in the strategic plan that Joe mentioned that we've been talking about ad nauseum for the last 6 months, and I'm very excited to unveil on the 29th. It's been really, the thing that's kept me awake at night in a positive way through all this time in my first half a year with AED. So anyway, I do want to also say that, this is only possible thanks to the AED board leadership, which has really asserted its importance, and their big support of commitment to our process, and our sponsors. So thank you, all of our sponsors who are making this strategy possible. So I hope you all can join us again in person. It is going to be our last hybrid event for the unveiling of that program, June 29 at 10 a.m. And as you all know, even the best strategies are really worthless if they're put on a shelf. We can write the most beautiful ideas and put them down, but if we don't execute, then it's all for naught. So following the rollout of the plan, that's really where the real work begins, where we will, I will look to all of you to help guide it, how to help shape it, and then implement its success in driving our economy. And as very similar to raising kids, even though I just have a bulldog, I'm guessing, it does take a whole village, right? So we've got some amazing speakers today. I'm going to get on with it. If you want a great example of a can-do attitude in the midst of a challenging economy, you really have to look no further than our first guest today, Cody Enlow. Cody is the founder and managing partner of New Mexico Rental Car, originally from Farmington, and he grew up in Albuquerque, so I've been told to say, go Monarchs. Cody left New Mexico in the early 90s to finish university and established a career in the car rental business, working for several brands and private equity investment, and most recently was the National Fleet Purchasing Manager for Hertz. This guy knows how to buy a car. Always returning home on a regular basis over the years to visit family, definitely eat. He's a green guy, not a Christmas guy. And then last year, when the pandemic really crushed the rental car business, he came home to stay, and he's thrilled to be here. In the past year, he has successfully raised the capital to launch an independent rental car business, and he's recently been awarded a concession agreement to operate at the Albuquerque Sunport. Thank you, Sunport. New Mexico Rental Car will open its doors for business in the beginning of July, and they will be New Mexico's mobility provider of choice. And NMRC will be an economic engine for the development of betterment in the communities they operate in. So please welcome Cody to just give you a few comments about what they're doing.
Good afternoon. Chair Farr, President Casey, honored guests, and fellow investors, welcome, and I am so pleased to see each and every one of you in person. When I thought about the presentation today, I was completely happy to toss away those Bugs Bunny jammies that I've been wearing for Zoom calls for the past year and see everybody in person. We appreciate your introduction, and I am humbled and pleased to be here today to share a little bit of our story and where we're going. As President Casey mentioned, I worked for the Hertz Corporation last year. At the end of January, I stood in a meeting very similar to this, and we celebrated what was promising to be the best year we'd had in 100 years. Who knew that in a matter of 60 to 90 days that we would be plunged into bankruptcy, 22 of 25,000 employees would be laid off, and while my family's remained in Albuquerque, you wonder what to do when the end of the world comes. And I will tell you, at this time last year, it certainly felt like we were at the end of the world. So families like, please come home. And as I got home, I thought about the way it was when I left 30 years ago. I am from New Mexico, and I took a bit of a non-traditional approach to getting into the University of New Mexico. And in my second year there, I began to think about what my future would be. What was I going to do when I graduated from college? And due possibly to not being able to see the opportunities in front of me or not finding things that I was interested in, I took that freshly minted degree and I went somewhere else. I've had an interesting career for 30 years, and so what it feels like, I am that boomerang, bringing back those 30 years of experience and network and skills to contribute to the economic development of my city. But when I got home last year and I began to look around, it didn't take me more than 2 or 3 days to understand there's incredible opportunity here. And it's not always going to be the end of the world, and New Mexico doesn't have its own rental car company. I don't know anything else to do. So of course, necessity always being the mother of invention, I'm going to start a rental car company, come hell or high water, we will figure out a way to be successful. So that was day one, but I realized, I'm gonna need some money. It's gonna take $3 to $5 million to do this. My sister's got a little bit of cash. I could probably sell the old Toyota that's out on the front lot. How am I gonna raise the rest of it? So getting connected with the Albuquerque Economic Development Corporation and the other infrastructure, I was put in touch with Wendy, Bob, and Dennis, and I'm gonna ask you to stand up and take a bow, if you would, for me. Please, where are those three? Right over here. Thank you. So I did a pitch deck, and I was proud of it, and I thought I'd taken all those cunning skills that I learned in a large corporation at Hertz, put my pitch deck in front of this team. Wendy, I appreciate your honesty every day. Wendy looks at it and was very nice and said, you're probably gonna need to raise more than $5. Give me a second draft. So we got another draft of this. These guys worked with me, really supported me through this. We took our roadshow on the road, got in front of some VC guys who, not necessarily understanding the rental car market, certainly understand finances. We went to some local lenders. Rental car is a unique business, and it is not one that has been in the Valley before. The majors occupy this. So lenders, car dealers, others that are very close to a car rental company were unfamiliar with the opportunity. Worked out well for us. We eventually were able to find an investment partner who took an equity stake in the company, and we raised the $5 million that we needed to get the company started. Thank you. I will tell you, there was that moment when we finished the pitch deck, I got to the ask deck, and you asked for the money, and the guy's like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. We'll send the money right over. It almost seemed as easy as that, but the very next question out of his mouth was, why didn't you come to us before? And I think while I had an answer in my mouth that I was able to give, that was what really changed me through this entire process of asking for money and building the company, is why didn't I do this before? And I think what I came up with is just simply fear. I always thought I was safer working for a company, and that's what really changed my mind last year and my point of view when I worked for Hertz, is that I could do at least as well as this. So we took our investment, we've laid the groundwork for the company. As President Casey mentioned, pending final city council approval of the final contract, got to put that in there. We are a successful bidder for a concession, and a multi-year concession worth millions of dollars to us at the Albuquerque National Airport. We will be at the rental car center right next to the majors. Our company, our name, New Mexico company for New Mexicans. We are at that leading edge of technology. We'll provide a fully self-service rental, and we'll be that local company, New Mexicans, serving the New Mexico market, and we understand it best. We're completely excited about this. We've hired 4 people full-time. We have my initial manager crew. Our wages start at $16 an hour with a full benefits package because we aim to be a premier employer. And over the next 60 days, we'll hire another 15 to 18 full-time people. We've already spent an investment of almost $3 million here in the Valley in terms of buying our fleet and other things we've spent money on. We look forward to having a significant market share here in Albuquerque and the Rio Grande Valley. But let me close by saying I appreciate all that opportunity, but it is really obvious and apparent to me, and I am humbled by this, that the reason I have this opportunity to take care of my family and create opportunity for my employees is because of the work each and every one of you have done in the last 30 years I've been gone. And I want to call you each and every one out and thank you for what you have done for the betterment of the Valley. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. We open the doors on July 1st, NewMexicoRentalCar.com. We hope to serve your mobility needs over the coming years, and thank you again for your time this afternoon.
Wow, what a great speaker. Thank you so much. All right, so next up, if you guys haven't noticed by looking at your agenda, we got a packed program today, but there was, when we looked at everything, we said we got to do it all. We got to do it all. We got to come back big. So next up is I am honored to call her my friend as well, my new dear friend, Cynthia Jaramillo. Oh my gosh, I rolled the R almost properly. She is the first woman and the first Latina to hold the position of Director of Economic economic development for the city of Albuquerque. She was appointed by Mayor Tim Keller in 2017 and oversees the recruitment and retention of companies, the International Trade Office, Small Business Office, Film Office, the local tourism industry, and the new Albuquerque Minority Business Development Center. And under her leadership, numerous nationally recognized companies, including film giants Netflix and NBC Universal, have all chosen to invest in the city. Cynthia, come on up.
Thanks, Danielle, and I'd like to say just one thing to you, Danielle. Extraordinary things come in small packages, as you can see, and you're extraordinary, and I am grateful to call you a friend. Thank you for that introduction, and thank you for inviting me to give you an update on our Albuquerque Home for Life campaign. Now, we've received very promising early data and have expanded our campaign from 4 to 11 cities. As you may or may not know, I think you do, a number of factors are driving the U.S. population from suburban areas and metropolitan centers to amenity-rich mid-sized cities like the one we call home, Albuquerque. And, you know, and I was going to say I had a talking point here to talk about our low-cost living and superb climate, but you know, Danielle talked about how that's not the only thing that is great about Albuquerque. So, you know, with our recreational options, our diverse culture, and really our easy accessibility through the International Sunport, Albuquerque really stands to capitalize on trends that were accelerated by the pandemic, and why we launched at the City of Albuquerque the Albuquerque Home for Life campaign. Just a brief recap. The project targets two groups. Number one, remote workers who can do their jobs from anywhere, and former residents of the city known as boomerangers, like Cody. Now, this messaging focuses on Albuquerque's, of course, our clean air, our abundant sunshine, our vast number of parks and hike and bike trails, yes, affordability, low traffic, and as I mentioned, our diverse culture, but also really focuses on our workforce. And so we launched earlier this year, actually late December, targeting key cities, including Houston, Portland, and Los Angeles. And so we recently expanded our efforts to San Francisco, Denver, Phoenix, Dallas, Seattle, New York, Boston, and Washington, D.C. And as you can see here on these slides, Albuquerque is really coming out ahead of, you know, of our comparative to other cities in many categories, even as home prices rise across the nation. You know, as we develop this campaign concept to really highlight Albuquerque's unique positioning and numerous opportunities, promoting the city's, again, healthy, resilient nature, affordability and high quality of life, and unique sense of place. We're seeing great early successes. The program measurements show that you can see, maybe on the next slide, program measurements show interest and engagement above national averages for advertising metrics. The campaign launched in January, and digital ads have received more than 27 million impressions, resulting in nearly 100,000 visitors to the Albuquerque Home for Life website. And so as a result of the analytics, as mentioned before, we've expanded our reach to other key metro areas for a total of 11 target cities. Now, these strong early metrics and major announcements from, as Danielle mentioned, from Intel, Orion, and Amazon, among others, like our friends at AlQ Digital and Katie Keim, who is here today, indicate that our efforts to bring jobs and workers to Albuquerque are starting this decade on for a far stronger path of growth than the last. As individuals seek both amenities that cities offer and manageable cost of living, and organizations look to offer employees a better quality of life in welcoming collaborative locations. Cities like Albuquerque are truly poised to see growth in residents and businesses alike. And by leveraging our exceptional quality of life and business-friendly assets, coupled with a strategic, creative, and well-executed strategic plan that AED is about to unveil, we can expect to become an inviolable engine for economic growth and development. That's my spiel on the Albuquerque Home for Life campaign, but it is my pleasure, right now I have the pleasure of introducing a new employer to our market. Katie Keim is the Chief Executive Officer of LQ Digital and leads the strategic growth and operational excellence of the company. And prior to Katie serving as CMO, she served as CMO of Lithium Technologies, a leading community and social platform sold to digital marketers. Previous experience includes Executive Vice President of Marketing at Service Source and Vice President of E-commerce at Intraware. Katie began her career at Bank of America. I'm a former banker, Wells Fargo though. So, yeah, Katie began her career at Bank of America in technology finance group focused on funding emerging companies. Katie holds an MBA from the Kellogg Graduate School of Management and an undergraduate degree in history from the University of Virginia. Now help me give Katie a good Albuquerque welcome. Welcome, Katie.
Good afternoon. Well, I will just say that we had been on about a 2-year journey to make a decision in Albuquerque, and let me tell you, talk about warm welcome. This is about the most inclusive and warm place I've been in the United States of America. So we are off to a great, great start. I've been asked to be brief, and so 3 things I'd like to share with you. One, I want to tell you a little bit about our company. We're proud of it, and just give you a little bit of background enough to be dangerous. Number 2 is I'd like to share with you why we chose Albuquerque. I always think that's a good story. I'm supposed to be an evidence point of all this hard work. And number 3, I'm going to ask your help. And what I've learned so far in Albuquerque is you just need to ask for help and the cavalry comes. So I thought I would use this to my advantage. So a little bit about LQ. I think simply put, we talk to the best clients, I think, in the world, and we try to tell them that growth is hard and growth is messy, and companies that want to grow should work with LQ because we know how to help them find the best customers, and by best customers, the ones that are profitable, the ones that move their business forward, that stay with them. And so we work with clients that we are extraordinarily proud of. Morningstar, PennyMac, HSBC. We work with Truist, which used to be SunTrust Bank. We work with McAfee, technology companies. And there's no slide I'm more proud of than the kind of clients we serve. And simply put, because people are like, what do you do exactly? We do sales and marketing for these companies. And on the marketing side, we do paid search, paid social, Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads. We try to help them generate customers for their business. But that's not enough because oftentimes marketing gives those to sales and sales doesn't follow up. And so we have a set of people on the phone that try to give people the answers they need quickly so they'll turn into a customer. Those people have raised their hands. They're looking for help. We're not cold calling people. We're trying to get them the service that they need. It's this part of the business, the contact center business, that we're moving to Albuquerque. And so that leads us to, well, why did you choose Albuquerque? And let me just start. I could go through all the reasons, the migration, the wage rate, the AED, all of those things. But the point is, you guys value what we value. And this decision started with values because we want to build a culture that can service those customers because the people that work for us are extraordinarily grateful and happy to work for the company they work for. And so when we think about truth, call it the way it is. Work hard. Tell them where they can move their business forward. Be proud of what you serve. Make sure you own your stuff and get it done. That's what we found in Albuquerque. Every time we talk to someone, let me get that done, and a sense of spirit. So that is a big, big reason that we're here. But there's obviously all the details on the ground, and I think if you go to the next slide, we're bringing 100 jobs here. And we're bringing 100 jobs to downtown. And there's a couple reasons for that. One, I have had the great pleasure to meet the Garcia family through this process, Ed and Carlos. They have been extraordinary in their vision, bold in their optimism, and willing to put their money back into this community to make it happen. And downtown knows that there's some grit. There's some rough edges. And you know what? You got to start with something big and go after it. And they have a plan to revitalize the city, and they worked with us on things like parking, and how are we going to handle safety, and how can we be at the center point of transportation. And maybe just a note about me, I grew up in the Detroit area, and the first time I met the Garcias, I said, you guys remind me of Dan Gilbert, because I grew up in a city where when people really lean in and make it happen, great things can happen. And so I'm super excited to be part of Albuquerque, being part of 100 jobs, but being part of something bigger, being something, the start of something great. That's what we're thinking about at LQ. That was my signing of the lease with Ed, which we did in person. That was the first time I'd had a business meeting since COVID, and it was a pretty great notion. So we're moving to First Plaza downtown. We're building out the space right now, and we expect to be live by October 1st, and I'm looking at Melanie, right? October 1st, October 1st. I'm gonna hold her accountable to all of you guys. So, what could I use help on? Very, very early on, we decided we will not be the California company that moves to Albuquerque and tell you how we do it in California. That's not how it's gonna go. We are gonna hire locally. And I said to Chris, so Chris Erickson King, the GM of this division who is here, I hope you get a chance to meet. I said there is one job that is the single most important job we will hire for this year, and it is our site director in Albuquerque. We are interviewing for that person now. We expect to make a decision by August. If you know someone that wants to run a best-in-class, culture-driven contact center that's a leader, please find me, because I trust all of you to point me in the right direction. And that left-hand person will be someone that will set the culture, HR, benefits, referral bonuses. We're talking about all kinds of things. We want to be best in class. So thank you very much for giving a warm welcome to LQ. We are off to a great start. This is the most exciting part of my year so far, and we're planning on success, so we appreciate your help. Thank you.
We've got a great theme today of dynamic small packages. Thank you, Katie. All right, so next up, I am really thrilled to welcome Sean Ricketts with Affordable Solar. Sean holds a BBA in accounting from they've got a lot of acronyms in here, by the way. NMSU, and it's like they're testing me, and an MBA in International Management from UNM. And Sean is also a CPA, licensed in the state of New Mexico. That's always a good thing. And he joined Affordable Solar in March of 2020 as their CFO. Sean is a native of New Mexico and has held CFO roles and other financial management roles in industries ranging from solar manufacturing to home health care. He has a really successful track record of increasing revenue and managing costs in order to maximize productivity. Really nice little combination there. And his varied background brings a truly fresh perspective to Affordable Solar. He works closely with the ops team and the executive team in order to help ensure that there is oversight and consistency across contracts from negotiation through execution. And him and his wife are expecting their first child in the fall. Oh my goodness, it's gonna be a very busy year. Sean, come on up, please. Please welcome Sean. He's gonna tell you a little bit about Affordable Solar's expansion plans.
Thank you, Danielle. Good afternoon, everybody. It's so great to be here in person with you all today. I want to talk through a few things. I want to give you a little background about Affordable Solar for those of you that are not familiar with us. And I want to talk about our consolidation and expansion plans and just give a little background of the industry generally and the part we play in it. So a little background, Affordable Solar was founded in 1998 by David Hughes. At that point in time, we were just doing off-grid solar applications and maybe a little water pump application as well. We've evolved as the industry has evolved, and today we're a utility scale solar company. So a little bit about the solar market. The solar market is growing, as you probably all know, and that's due in part due to the falling costs and the fact that, honestly, it's cheaper in most geographies to implement renewable sources than traditional sources of energy generation. Analysts are predicting 500% growth in the solar market from 15 gigawatts annually to 75 gigawatts annually by 2030. And that's a huge number, but the staggering number is the battery energy storage system business, which is expected to grow from 3 gigawatts in 2020 to 200 gigawatts by 2030. So some of you may or may not know what battery energy storage is and how it plays a part in renewable energy. In short, the sun doesn't always shine and the wind doesn't always blow, right? So there are peak usage hours in the wintertime, particularly in New Mexico, where the sun is already down, right? At 6 o'clock, you have people that are still in the office with the lights on, with the heat on. You have folks at home cooking dinner with the lights on and the heat on, but the sun may be down. So it's important to store some of the energy that's generated during the day from the sun and from the wind so that we can use it when that energy is not being generated. So talking a little bit about our consolidation and expansion plan, we currently lease 4 different spaces. We lease our office space, we lease 3 warehouses, and the plan is to consolidate under one roof at 3900 Singer. Some of you may know that is the old New Mexico Mutual building. And, you know, we didn't find a lot of industrial space, so we have visionary leaders that determined we could turn that space into not only our corporate headquarters, but also into our fabrication and assembly plant, as well as our warehouse. So the primary goals that we have is, you know, creation and fostering economic growth in the state of New Mexico through new job creation, through growth opportunities for existing staff, by exporting our products and talents, which means we're an economic base employer for the state. As we endeavor to fulfill our mission of a renewable energy future, we can also expand our local economy. Be at the forefront of the renewable energy business, both inside and outside of New Mexico, and creation of a sustainable future for generations to come. We want to employ like-minded people, and we want to just make a difference in the community. So the growth goals as far as head count, we've committed to 70 additional employees in 5 years and 80 additional employees within 7 years, 95 additional employees within 10 years, and frankly, we feel that these are pretty conservative numbers. The support from both the city and the state on our consolidation and expansion plan allow us to do this expansion, and we're very thankful for this support. We have been granted city industrial revenue bond funding, state local economic development act funding with a 25% match from the city on that LEDA funding. So for those of you that are not aware, the state of New Mexico has a very aggressive renewable portfolio standard. The 2019 law set new goals for investor-owned utilities. So we need 50% of electricity retail sales from renewable sources by 2030, 80% by 2040, and 100% by 2045. What are we working on today? Today we're actively working on multiple projects at home in New Mexico. We have projects in California, Nevada, Arkansas, Utah, and Arizona, and all the projects have a battery energy storage component. The projects range in size from 10 megawatts to 100 megawatts. The projects that we're bidding on now are 200 megawatt projects, and they all have battery storage components. One thing that I failed to mention in regards to battery energy storage is we have some patent pending technology, which is why we need the fabrication and assembly space, and it allows us to deploy those battery installs quicker and more feasibly. So we really are at the forefront of this industry, and we're partnering with some really big names in that business, and we're really excited to be able to do some of the work here, even if those actual jobs are in other states like California, Nevada, and Texas. So with that, I just want to take a moment to, first of all, thank you all for your time today, but also to thank AED, especially Wendy Ederer, who I started talking to in May of 2020. She kind of handed me off to Dennis Houston, and he gave me great CFO to CFO advice. And I worked with him throughout the entire process. Deb Inman was there every step of the way, giving us sound counsel. And so a huge thank you to you guys. A huge thanks to the city of Albuquerque and the state of New Mexico for their support on this project.
I'm going to go off script here a little bit and say, I feel like a kid in a candy store. All these great businesses, all this great activity in New Mexico, and particularly Albuquerque. Danielle being part of our leadership, it's just fantastic. So I'm very proud to introduce Todd Sandman, who's the Senior Vice President and Chief Strategy Officer at Presbyterian Healthcare Services, a private not-for-profit integrated healthcare system in New Mexico and the state's largest provider of healthcare. In his role, Mr. Sandman oversees the organization's annual strategic planning cycle, marketing, communications, public relations, public policy advocacy, and data and analytics, as if that's not enough, and plays a key role in business and market development. He frequently presents around the country on the success of Presbyterian's integrated system. He's worked in healthcare for more than 2 decades and joined Presbyterian in 2001. Previously, he worked on Capitol Hill in Washington as a deputy press secretary for a U.S. senator, press secretary for a U.S. congressman, and on federal political campaigns. Mr. Sandman has held board positions for several community organizations and currently sits on the board of directors of Albuquerque Economic Development and chairs the New Mexico Ethics in Business Award Selection Committee. He holds a bachelor's degree in political communications from George Washington University and a Master of Business Administration from Arizona State University. Mr. Sandman, welcome to the stage.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it. And let me also say welcome to Danielle. I'm also normally much taller, but I didn't want to ruin the theme for today, so I accommodated. So we're really pleased to be an investor in AED and really pleased to be a sponsor today. So I just thought for a few minutes, I want to share just a couple things for you to take away about Presbyterian Healthcare Services. So as we said in the introduction, we are the largest provider of healthcare coverage and healthcare services in New Mexico. We are a not-for-profit organization only in the state of New Mexico, and we have been since 1908. So we're enormously proud of what we've built, but it really is about people. And so the 14,000 employees we have, including more than 1,200 physicians and nurse practitioners and so on that we employ, deliver great care. And that's really why we're here. Everything we do is to reinvest in healthcare in New Mexico. So you can see 9 hospitals, about 45 clinics statewide, and a health plan today that serves Medicaid, Medicare Advantage, and commercial, with covering more than 600,000 New Mexicans. So, and I'll just pause there to say the sum of all that was really proven in the last year, and I think probably none of us want to look back too much, but we take a lot of pride thinking about the way that Presbyterian, and I will just say collaborating with the university, collaborating with Lovelace and healthcare systems across the state, really helped to lean in and take care of people. So when we look back at what we were able to help with, more than 2,500 COVID patients cared for in our hospitals, more than 200,000 tests given out today, just our main vaccination hub, vaccinating more than 75,000 New Mexicans, plus in other sites around the state. So we're trying to contribute and help return our communities to health. When we think about what we reinvest in healthcare in New Mexico, probably the signature project today that is on your left is a $240 million investment in Presbyterian Hospital. I love that story because when I said we started in 1908, the same plot of land where our founder, Reverend Hugh Cooper, opened a tuberculosis sanatorium for people in need is the site of Presbyterian Hospital today. And we continue to invest. It continues to be the hub of a lot of important healthcare, and it'll be an important way for the next generation to come to get their care. And so those are construction jobs. Those are really important healthcare jobs, and it's a really important way we're going to give back to the community. And then if we could just go back, I'm sorry, one more time. I want to draw your attention to the other, if we could possibly go back. Maybe not. Oh, thank you. What I wanted to share is if you've driven on Central and you've seen that new bridge that connects Presbyterian Hospital to this emerging development called the Highlands, which we're proud to partner in, it is a tangible expression of this bridge we built between the investments we make and how it fosters economic development. And so I think it's an exciting way we're going to re-energize that part of Central and that neighborhood, and just excited for what it's going to mean to Albuquerque in general. Thank you for that. Okay. And then, you know, not everything is on that massive scale. Other ways we give back are just making sure that the underserved communities in New Mexico have the nutrition they need, the healthcare services they need. And so today, Presbyterian Medical Group physicians can write a prescription for nutrition, for food, for people who are in need. And so when they have a patient in front of them that has real need, they can connect them to our farmers markets or to our food pharmacy. And we rely on 62 local farmers for those products and that produce. And so it's just a great way we're kind of completing that cycle and making sure that people who need help, we can be a connector for them. And so the sum of that is, you know, I think a lot of pride in our state. We love to see it grow. We love to see this great organization, and pleased to be part of it today. So thank you very much.
I'm getting my steps in today. I'm not going to do much later. All right, very good. Thank you, Todd and Presbyterian, for your tremendous support. I'm going to ask our, by the way, I hope you all stick around. This has been a packed program. We have a really wonderful panel discussion that we prepared today. I think it's going to touch on some important things related to COVID and also what we're seeing in commercial real estate. So our folks are going to head up here right now, and while they do that, I am pleased to unveil another really cool new tool. You all can tell that I like technology. This is designed to increase our efficiency and competitiveness for business growth. It's going to benefit the entire region. It's called ABQ Sites. So cue up the video, Elena.
When companies are looking for their next expansion or relocation opportunity, they investigate the characteristics of the local population and workforce, what other businesses are in the community, and the geographic advantages of locating in a specific place. Our new online GIS data tool answers all these questions in minutes with intuitive, mobile-friendly technology. Accessible from any device, the website allows visitors to view, create, and print maps, perform site selection searches, develop custom demographic radius reports, and find an available property. It gives us in the greater Albuquerque region enormous opportunity to market ourselves to investors anywhere in the world. Research shows that 98% of corporate real estate and site selection professionals visit an economic development organization's website when considering a new location for a business well before contacting any local representatives. Therefore, an exceptional website with robust data, dynamic reporting, analysis, and virtual site visits is mandatory for effective economic development. Otherwise, our community could be knocked out of the running without even knowing it. From workforce to infrastructure, ABQ Sites strengthens our ability to connect our community with companies, delivering good jobs and economic opportunity for the greater metro area. Discover ABQ Sites today.
All right. Pretty cool, right? And yeah, thank you. And so please check it out. That amazing voiceover is courtesy of our own Grant Taylor and the video prowess of Elena Phillips back there. So very thrilled about this. We'll get into this more because we're actually going to have a launch and training program July 7 at 2 p.m. So we encourage you to tune in and check all of that out. And if you have properties or know about them that we don't or you don't see listed there, let us know. So to facilitate this amazing panel is David Campbell. David said, let's get into the meat of this, so don't go crazy on the intros. If you don't know David, he's got an amazing history. He's an exceptional and knowledgeable professional, you know, in master plan commercial, industrial, and residential work in Albuquerque for many, many years, and a 35-year member of the New Mexico State Bar. So I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm going to let him introduce the rest of the panel and guide him through two really critical questions today.
Thank you, Danielle. We have We have reached the post-pandemic and the pre-Tempur-Pedic portion of our program. And so the only thing standing between you and a great night's sleep is this panel and I. So we're going to move right into it. What you have is the bios of our speakers. What you don't know are some interesting tidbits about each of them. Let me first point out Clayton King, who is the founder and CEO of King Capital. You can see his bio in the program, but what you don't know is that when Clayton grew up in Bosque Farms, New Mexico, in the South Valley area, his babysitter was mixed martial arts fighter Holly Holm. And talk about somebody who knows a little something about putting somebody to sleep in about 10 count. So we are very pleased that Clayton joins us. He has been in commercial and retail real estate and runs a podcast that is a fascinating podcast called the CRE Project Podcast. Brad Allen has been in real estate in Albuquerque for many years. He was in the Roger Cox organization, and you've seen that in his bio. But a little known fact was that 10 years ago, before I left town, I think you were the last client I had taking to court on a case. And I'll tell you, we showed that parking meter who's boss, didn't we?
We did.
Yeah, we did. And then let me introduce Travis Coker. Travis is the COO of HB Construction, and Travis has been in construction literally his whole life. He left home at age 15, went into construction, and then went into the Navy and served in the Middle East on surface warfare ship. So let's thank our panel, but let's particularly thank Travis for his service to our nation. All right. First question. Each participant will answer each of these questions. First question is, COVID-19 has clearly been a disruptor in commercial real estate. What trends are you seeing coming out post-COVID as it pertains to commercial real estate and development locally and nationally? We can start with you, Clayton.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm honored to be here in front of such a great group, so thank you for the opportunity. You know, retail specifically, which is what I focus on, is in kind of an interesting spot with COVID, because really retail, as far as a real estate segment, has really been evolving for the past 7 years. And both the product has been evolving, but also the consumer's been evolving. And really what COVID's done for retail is it's just accelerated that process. So throughout COVID, obviously, there was significant strain on the retail system, but in all honesty, we've been evolving for 7 to 10 years, and we're making, significant progress towards more experiential type of experience when you're in a retail environment. So, I'd say the most apparent change that we'll see coming out of COVID from a retail standpoint is obviously the efficiency and the need for drive-through component. The American consumer continues to get more spoiled, more demanding when it comes to retail services, and the retailers are going to have to keep up with that. And I'll certainly admit it, I don't know if anyone else will, but when you're driving home, you want to pick up a meal, I know oftentimes you'll be craving something, but you won't stop at that certain place because you have to get out of the car, you have to walk inside, you got to pick up the food, you got to go back to your car, and it's just exhausting, right? And
these are first world problems.
Yeah, true story. I remember going to Sauce in Uptown like 2 weeks ago, and I was like almost frustrated because I had to go in to get my food, and I was, So, you have a really spoiled consumer, and we're a very efficient, society, and we want stuff instantaneously. So, you're going to see more drive-through components added onto non-traditional type of uses, So a lot of sit-down restaurants right now are talking about drive-through components. You're going to see shrinking dining room areas with quick service restaurants, and they're going to continue to increase the efficiency of that drive-through. The other interesting point where retail is right now is, it's an interesting point because we know more about the retailer and what they offer, but the retailer knows more about us at this point in time. And as we adapt and adopt, for technology, retailers have additional data on who we are and what we like, which again is going to increase efficiency. So, people come up to me all the time, and they deal in office and industrial, and people always say, well, retail is, what's going on with it? Is it scary right now? And I always tell them retail is really in a beautiful place right now because it's again changing and morphing towards a better experience for the consumer, which is what we all want. And it's becoming more and more challenging for the retailers, but overall we're heading in a really good direction. So in the next 3 to 5 years, I think you're going to see a really healthy redevelopment. Again, COVID's accelerated what was already happening, so you're going to see certain retailers that aren't innovating and aren't evolving, they're going to go away. And a good example of repurpose, and I always say this to people, is there's 2 good examples. In Uptown, we had Sears that occupied a really nice piece of real estate in our market. They went out, and now we have 6 different really nice quality retailers in that area.
In the same space,
and you're
yeah.
going to see more and more of that, in the next 3 to 5 years, along with more adoption of artificial intelligence and technology.
Great,
So.
okay. I know that the mayor of Coronado, Randy Sanchez, is out here. He'll be pleased to hear the kudos there. Thank you, Clayton. How about you, Brad?
Sure, thank you. COVID was so interesting. Our company, we're mostly involved in developing or acquiring existing assets, all different food types in the commercial real estate. And so a couple of our projects, let me just touch on 2 real fast. We acquired a larger office facility in Uptown at 2440 Louisiana 2 years ago, February 2019. 45% occupancy. 2019 was probably our company's the best year. It was incredible. We took that building from 45% to 80%. And then starting 2020, we'd taken it from 80% to 84%. Then COVID hit. We had a lot of groups circling, looking, wanting to be in that Uptown area, especially with this facility. It's been there, A location, but it was a C property. We took it up to an A-type property. Then COVID hits, all these companies push the pause button. We've got them back now, we're talking to them. Let me just give you a quick example. We had one group looking at a 10,000 square foot space, all these private offices. Now we are in talks where reducing it down to 7,000 feet, half the offices will be designated. The other half will be nameless, so people will come and go, come and go. Same amount of employees, but less space because they're anticipating this work from home will continue. That trend will stay with us. And so they're anticipating flexibility, retention, really more care about the output than just having faces be in the office. So that trend will stay with us. Real estate's a very high cost line item next to your employees. So that's interesting. The cost to build these things out are rising. We're seeing some of these futures trend down, so hopefully that'll improve. But let me talk about one other project real quick. One of the things we do is we have various hospitality projects. We started a project 18 months ago down in Alamogordo, New Mexico, a hotel, a Hilton product. And everyone's like, man, you guys are so smart. You're building this when all the material costs are through the roof. You already locked your things in. But I can tell you, we did not feel very smart during the whole period of COVID. In fact, if we could have unwound that deal, we probably would have. We opened up last week, just in time to have all the COVID stuff pretty much behind us. We got it in at great pricing. Our numbers are looking great. People are traveling. I looked at my reports this morning. 2 of our hotels, one was 97% last night, another one was 100% last night here in New Mexico, Albuquerque and Las Cruces. When I looked at the prior year to date, 41% occupied. And so I'm so grateful to have gotten past that. But if you've been out, as you start traveling, you see the pent-up demand. Folks are wanting to get out there, which is it's exciting. So many good things are happening. But I'll just stop there on those two examples. But COVID has changed things for the better, more efficient perhaps. And companies, I think, had to take a hard look at processes and what they're involved in. Maybe they wouldn't have normally done it, but COVID forced us to kind of do some hard things. So hopefully here on the other end, we're more efficient, we're better. So thanks, guys.
Okay, Brad, I'm scoring that as rosy outlook 2, dour outlook 0 so far.
Got it,
Let's see what we have. Travis, how about you from the construction standpoint?
Sure, okay, thank you very much. Certainly appreciate being here. You know, Brad touched on a couple of things. We were actually chatting a little bit before earlier today, and it was pretty striking. A lot of what Brad just talked about, we certainly have gone through as a company. I'll talk about the real estate impact, the construction side of it here in just a second, but from a company standpoint, from a company's perspective, we have absolutely rethought our needs. We've rethought our office space needs. We've rethought our benefits package, how we're working with employees, what's important to them, what they value. We've certainly seen a lot of remote working be of value to employees. And we have figured out some pretty good ways of looking at and evaluating metrics and work output as opposed to presence at an office, right? And I think, you know, as Brad mentioned, COVID created a situation that really has pushed a lot of us to rethink how we go about what we do. As HB Construction, we have a fairly large office facility up in Nob Hill. You know, we're rethinking that. You know, it doesn't seem to make the same sense that it did 2 years ago. It's a beautiful facility, we love it, but it's frankly too much space with the new dynamic that people have settled into. We've gotten a lot of feedback from our employees that they really enjoy it. We've been able to identify those metrics, and we're really able to ensure that our production is up and that we're accomplishing what we need to accomplish by focusing on the results a bit more than, again, presence at an office. With respect to construction, with respect to the impact here, you know, we certainly have seen a massive supply chain impact. There are some futures that are projecting steel to potentially be coming back down towards the end of the year. We do believe that that's going to be the case. However, there are some nuances involved in there. Joists and decking, for instance, are not going to see a reprieve and are going to continue to be choked up. There is a lot of square footage of data centers and warehouse areas that are being built from some really major companies. We're talking millions of square foot, and it is creating some serious impacts in the supply chains. You know, wood prices have gone up. They were beginning to go up, and there were some supply chain issues prior to COVID. COVID has sort of exacerbated that, and we don't see that changing in the near future. Some of those issues are going to continue on beyond that. You know, the pre-planning process of any construction-related approach to real estate is something I think people really need to take some time and some attention on. In order to ensure that your project is set up for success, in order to ensure that you've got your materials lined out, you've got your deliveries lined out, you've got your permits, your inspections, et cetera, lined out, all of the complicating factors, right, that have the potential to inhibit the successful delivery of a project, that can mostly be mitigated in a good pre-planning process. And there are some delivery methods that are more suited for that. Construction manager at risk, design build, ways that you can get in and begin partnering entities beforehand, I think is going to bring a lot of relief and a bit more certainty through any particular group or company's aspirations for new real estate.
Great, thank you, Travis. Okay, remembering that these people are waiting for the drawing on the Tempur-Pedic and the Sennheiser, we're entering into the lightning round. So here's the final question very quickly for the panel. If you could wave a magic wand, what creative idea or solution would make the metro area come out ahead of our competitor regions? Let's start with Travis on this one. Magic wand,
Sure.
what would it be?
Timely speed to market. Permits, inspections. We, as in the New Mexico community, lag a little bit behind some of our competitive markets. It does take a bit longer here, I think, on average. We've certainly done a lot of work in a lot of other areas, and we've seen this. We're probably running about the year-plus mark, and that should be accomplishable probably closer to 7 or 8 month mark. for a lot of what we do and pursue. So, I think if we could look at better pre-permitting processes, break it up into packages, get early work permitting, there's some available, but those processes need some streamlining. I think if we can do that, it'll certainly, from our aspect, really help streamline and get us to move much quicker to market. Yeah.
Good. Brad?
Yeah, similar thought. I think if we could have put it more on, instead of the citizenry, put it on our officials where we submit projects for permits, reviews, whatever, timelines, right? And if things aren't commented back, things are just automatically approved. So put that on our officials. I think if we did that, we would have savings like anything. It'd be incredible. Projects would cost less, meaning tenants would pay less in rent, people would pay less for homes. There would be a lot of savings that would unnecessarily add cost to projects. Interest rates, you'd save all across the board. And I think it would be felt throughout our entire community. Just that one thing would add such an incentive that we would bring a lot of folks into our community and also expand the folks that are here.
So again, speed to market.
Yep, you got it.
Let me just say, 3 years ago, I was the city planning director, and I was proud of how fast projects went through the city process. Now I'm in the private sector, and I can't believe how much things have slowed down in 3 years.
Yeah. We need you back.
It's just unbelievable. Okay, Clay.
To echo similar thoughts, adding predictability to our zoning code is, important in my world right now, and I think that's something that our market can, definitely work on, for sure. I mean, we adopted a new zoning code in 2018, and we're working our way through crafting amendments on that. It's taken time. But if we could add predictability, and what a lot of people that aren't involved in our industry don't understand is the timeline that takes and the amount of plates that are spinning in a transaction is, there's dozens of things happening, and a lot of those are timelines. So added regulation from a zoning standpoint can throw off an entire deal. Sure. And a lot of times, I deal with a lot of corporate companies that have to open stores. So if we can expedite and, again, wave a magic wand and simplify our zoning code to where it's more predictable for retailers and users, it would definitely benefit our community.
Certainty is a great thing in this business. Okay, let's thank our panel with your applause. Thank you. Over to you.
Excellent. Well, yes, thank you all, and thank you everybody for staying so engaged and staying here with us. Those are some wonderful comments, and I think just going back to our strategic plan, that also is a great segue into, we've looked at competitor markets, and we're trying to figure out where they are really good so we can beat them. All right, so Joe, you ready for people want some prizes?
My favorite time, giving away stuff.
All right, cool. So let's give away some stuff. We are sticking with the digital wheel of prizes. So let's get going. Why don't you take the mattresses?
All right.
All right.
So we've got 2 mattresses, winner's choice. As we find out who the winner of this is, we want to give a big thanks to Cesar Rodriguez. A quick disclaimer that delivery of the mattress must be taken within the Albuquerque area. So if its final resting place is outside the area, you got to figure out how to arrange for that additional travel. So.
All right. First winner is. We could hear a pin drop in here. Charlene.
Fairchild.
Where's Charlene? Where is Charlene?
Charlene here? Does she have to leave?
Oh, well, because we are,
online.
okay.
That's
We're
right.
not going to
Okay.
require present to win because we are partially virtual. All right, Charlene, this has got your name on it.
The days we're in. Next up, another mattress. Debbie Dupes. Congratulations, Debbie and Charlene. You want to read the Sennheiser? You want me to?
Oh, go for it.
All right.
He's doing so good.
All right, next up, Sennheiser Headphones. As usual, a special shout out to the wonderful Joe Fortune. Joe, where you at? You here today? I don't see him. All right. He's a board member and general manager of Sennheiser New Mexico LLC, and Claudia Valles. What we've got is high fidelity noise isolating ear canal phones with outstanding bass. Retail price of $129.95.
Oh, there we go. There's the music, yeah.
Melanie Burns. Congratulations, Melanie. All right, next up, we have Momentum True Wireless Headphones. Retail price $299.95, and the sound on these things are fantastic. We have some. Gary Opedal. Congratulations, Gary.
Where's Gary? Is he over there? All right. We'll come up and get him at the end, Gary.
Last but not least, Momentum Wireless Headphones, $399.95 retail price.
Oh, wow. All right.
It's not rigged, I swear.
It's not rigged, but next time we will be going back to the jar. That is it. Thank you all so much. Thank you for sticking with us. Thanks to all of our many, many, many speakers. Have a great 4th of July, and we'll see you in September. All right. Oh, fun.